There are literally thousands of pieces of dinosaur bone. 1, 2, 3 bones. My hands are shaking a little bit because that is the tip of a T-Rex tooth. So we're back in this really productive little valley that we found. Same valley that we found the partial triceratops over there and Wes's turtle up there. Now when we came down to the far end of the valley, we have some channel sand, so this would be a stream or a river deposit up here, and then we have mudstones down below. And there's an environmental change right here along the edge of this ledge where you can see this ironstone coming out. And if you look at the ground, I don't know how well you can see this, but there are literally thousands of pieces of dinosaur bone weathered out. They're just everywhere, and they're coming from this environmental transition from more standing water, you know, a lake, oxbow lake or a swamp, to this moving water. And right where that transition happens is where the fossils seem to be accumulated. So this is just a little hole I dug to showcase the geology. So down here at the bottom, you have the mudstone right here. And then right above that, you have about a foot of sand. And it's a little hard to do this accurately right here because this top layer has been pretty weathered. But it seems like the bone layer should be roughly a foot thick. So, you know, most of the pieces we're finding here are just really fragmented chips, and it's really hard to tell if there's anything, you know, identifiable. But up here, there was just this little edge sticking out right here. And we followed that down, and there are 1, 2, 3 bones right in this little 2 foot by foot square. So this site has the potential to have a ton of bones accumulated in this area. And what this most likely is, geologically, is a point bar deposit. So if you think of the bend of a river, on the inside curve where the water slows down, in modern rivers, you get a gravel bar, right? But in the Hell Creek, you didn't really have rocks and gravel. You know, you had clay pebbles and you had bones. And so the bones were the heaviest thing that could be transported and dropped off onto those point bars. So this was probably the bend of a river here where we're seeing this major accumulation of bones. And the density is so high. I mean, 3 bones in just this little area. Obviously, we need to do some more digging to understand the geology a little better, but it may have been some type of flooding event to get this kind of accumulation. So we're really excited to see kind of what animals are preserved here, and if this event, you know, kind of scoured the whole ecosystem and samples all of it, or if it's mostly hadrosaur or triceratops. So how I'm going to start with this area is I'm just going to start widening this exposed portion, and I'm not going to take out the bones individually right away because I'd like to get an idea of how densely packed they are and what animals are preserved, and also what direction they're pointing might give you some flow indicators. So all that is important information in kind of piecing back together what happened here and how these bones ended up in this spot. So I had just been digging for about a minute, and this stuff is a little bit fragile since it's so near the surface, but my hands are shaking a little bit because that is the tip of a T-Rex tooth right there. So we're going to see what else is there, and I'm going to get all these little pieces back together. So this is so exciting. So right here is the tooth of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And unfortunately, since this is so close to the surface, it's already been a little bit weathered, and that's what this white is around it. It has some root damage, and you know, it's very fragile. So even when I barely touched it, with my knife, it did fracture, but I'll be able to get all those pieces back together in the lab. And this is still an incredible find right here. So here's a nice up close shot of that Rex tooth. And I know I said that I was gonna leave everything in place, but because this is kind of right on top of the bone layer and so fragile, I'm gonna remove it just so we can avoid it getting further damaged. So this is an incredible start to this site, and I'm excited to see what else comes out.